Hello and welcome to the Crusader Corner podcast. I'm your host, Mr. O'Donnell, and today I'm joined by Charles Moskov, our local seminarian from Auburn, New York. He just got out of giving a presentation to our students in the chapel on discernment. So very happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So jumping right into it, why are you in the seminary studying to become a diocesan priest?
Right. It's a big question, right? Why am I in the seminary?
Yeah.
So I think first and foremost, it's to follow Christ, to be there with him and serve him and his people as the best I can. So I think a lot of this really started back in high school, back when I was really thinking about what I wanted to do next in my life. And I started to hear the call to the priesthood to really serve God in a special way. But I didn't want to listen. I wanted to go off and really get married. I think was really a really big motivation for me at the time. And so immediately after fall high school, I went off and joined the Army. I think it was 3 days after I graduated, I left for basic training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was in Fort Benning, Georgia. I was there as a training brigade 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. So sort of the eyes and the ears of the battlefield, professional hide-and-seek players. And so after graduating, one station unit training there, I was sent to the 1st Cavalry Division in Texas, part of the 9th Regiment at first, and then moved to the 5th Regiment where we deployed to Ukraine, or excuse me, not Ukraine, Poland at the beginning of the Ukraine War.
Okay.
And there, I think, is really where I found my vocation.
Okay. Okay. So why? So being in Poland,
Yeah,
is when it became more confirmed to you. Why do you think that is? What was going on in there where it became more clear versus you had mentioned hearing it in high school and kind of putting it to the side?
yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes when God wants us to do something, He can sometimes let us go in the opposite direction. So at the time, I was dating a girl, and I really liked her. I really wanted to get married to her, and I thought that was going to be a great relationship. We're going to be happy. I had my whole life planned out, right? But the best way to make God laugh is tell him our plans.
Yeah.
So during we did this big NATO training exercise. All the sort of countries of Europe came together and we all trained together. It was a lot of fun. And my command team was pretty pleased with my performance. And so they awarded me a 4-day pass. So 4 days to go wherever I wanted in Europe. And so, of course, I went to sort of like, oh, well, what's the biggest place in Poland that I go to? So Częstochowa was one of them, and then Krakow, which is next to it.
Yeah.
JP2's
JP2 pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so I think it was really at Częstochowa, the monastery of Jasna Gora, where I found my vocation.
Okay. So in Częstochowa, there's a famous icon, Our Lady of Częstochowa. Do you know she doesn't happen to be housed at that monastery, is she? Or where in Częstochowa is she?
Yeah, so she is in Jasna Gora, the monastery there, and she's only really unveiled, I think, twice a day during Mass.
Okay.
So it is sort of a funny story. I almost didn't see the icon. I was in the room over praying, and I heard a bunch of music coming from where the icon was, and I was like, oh, I'll see it last. Best for last. And my friend who was with me was starting to get really impatient because he's like, this guy's praying so much. I want to get out of here. And so he's just like, he's sitting next to me, just like moaning and groaning. Like, all right, we'll go see the icon, then we'll leave. And I walked in just as they were veiling the icon. And so I really only saw it for maybe a second or two, but that was enough.
Okay.
That was enough for her really to sort of speak to me in a special way. And I think it was just really changed after that.
Okay, so that's super cool because I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you. I had a best friend from high school and into college, actually from childhood. Like we grew up with playing each other. Like, I was 5 and he was 3. Like, played basketball together all through these years. And he's now a priest in the Diocese of Arlington. And when he was doing his discernment about to enter the seminary, he took a pilgrimage to Poland. and he went to Czestochowa, and he knew I was going through discernment process as well. So when he got to the icon, he consecrated my vocation to her, and then brought me back, a replica of the icon for me to have. And so that meant a lot. And then you fast forward like, I don't know, 7 years. I never knew, or I didn't really know any Polish or Ukrainian people my whole life. And then I ended up marrying into a Polish Ukrainian family. So God works kind of in mysterious ways. And I just think it's pretty amazing that you brought that up. And it's like, hang on. Yeah, she's awesome for vocations. And John Paul II, obviously, just being he must be pretty influential in your life, obviously, if you're doing the Poland pilgrimage there. And I named my son John Paul after the Pope. Yeah, big reason why I went into teaching was reading his encyclicals. So enough about me. I just wanted to share that because it came up.
Letter to Artists I've reread that many times.
Yeah. So you did mention. So you used a couple words that I jotted down. You're in the seminary to follow Christ,
right? And
then you mentioned in high school you were hearing this calling. Could you explain what that kind of hearing, what that voice is like, that was tugging you towards the seminary, all the way back in high school?
Yeah, I think it's a quiet one. It really is, and especially in the early days of when you're first starting to hear that, it can be easily sort of put to the side. So I think it's really important to make time for Christ, especially in silence, to hear what he's trying to say to you. So I'd always recommend the Holy Hour, adoration. I know St. Alphonsus does it Fridays, pretty much all day. The sacrament is exposed. You have it here at Tyburn.
Yeah, we really do it monthly for the kids.
When is that again?
The last Friday of the month.
Last Friday of the month, right? Yeah. And is it first period?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we do a holy 45-minute.
Yeah.
I won the bell schedule, but
that's close. Yeah.
Rounding up, we got Holy Hour in. I call them Tyburn Holy Hours.
Yeah.
So silence, quiet voice, and then so you said when you're in Poland, it became more more definite. You got more clarity.
Yeah.
So how many more years? When you enter the army, you have so many years of service that you give to the country. So at that point, how much time was left on your commitment to the army when you sounds like you made the decision to pursue and listen to the voice in Poland? How much time did you have waiting in between?
I only had a few months. So I was that was right at the end of my contract.
Okay.
And so I had a job lined up. I was pretty much all set to just transition back to civilian life and just continue on, living.
Can I ask what was the job?
I was going to be a police officer in Auburn. And so that was all lined up, more or less. And like I said, I had my plan. I had my life set out before me. I knew exactly everything that was going to happen. But obviously I didn't.
So what's involved in the process of applying to become a seminarian?
Yeah. So there is a series of interviews you do with first priests of the diocese, and then afterwards you do a psychological evaluation at the seminary itself, or sometimes through a third-party doctor or psychologist. And from there, all these results are sort of compiled and then given to the bishop, and then you meet with the bishop, and he decides if he wants to send you to the seminary.
Okay.
And then applying to the seminary is more or less just like applying to college, the actual seminary itself, after you're accepted by the diocese.
Okay, gotcha. So interview, psychological test, and interview again with the bishop. How do you get the ball rolling for that process?
Yeah, reach out to the diocesan vocation awareness team. Okay. I think there's 4 priests on the awareness team, so they're pretty spread out, I think, throughout the diocese. So there's one that's always pretty close. They make themselves super available. Send an email, they get back to you hopefully pretty quick. We also do the Fisher dinners twice a year in the diocese. So any men that are discerning the priesthood, or starting to think about it, they can come to these dinners and they get a real good sort of just presentations from priests about their vocation stories. They get to hang out with a bunch of priests, and usually a lot of seminarians show up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really great environment, very prayerful, very brotherly. It's good.
Okay, yeah, getting the taste of the priestly community, because there is you can tell. So I've been to an ordination mass down in the Diocese of Arlington, and I had, I think, 3 friends getting ordained the same day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty blessed, and Arlington's very blessed too. They got a big vocation boom.
Yeah.
But you can tell, like, all the priests in the diocese come back for that mass, and there's like a priestly fraternity that they share with each other. That just, it's really unique. Like when you visit a monastery, you can see it amongst the monks. But then, like, at these diocesan-wide events where they all get back together, it's like, whoa, you're so used to seeing them, in their separate domains in their parishes,
right?
But that bond exists. So you're in the seminary now, and what's your daily routine like in the seminary?
Yeah, so it usually starts. We have to be in the chapel by 6:30. So we have 15 minutes of just silent contemplation, and then we do morning prayer from the Liturgy of the Hours, and then Mass. Following that, breakfast, and then we're pretty much free for the rest of the day until 5.
Okay.
We have our classes at Providence College, and at 5 o'clock we have our holy hour, and then dinner, and then sometimes after dinner there'll be another thing. On Thursdays we always have some type of conference, sort of like an additional class about some topic.
Okay.
It might be on some area of formation, something going on. If like Pope, writes an encyclical, we all sort of just talk about that. We have a class on it.
Okay.
So we stay pretty up to date on what's going on in the church and the latest and greatest.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. For your classes that you're taking, so it's minor seminary.
Yeah.
Right. So you're essentially studying philosophy right now, and essentially, because you went from straight to high school to the Army, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing, it's like a bachelor's program.
Yeah.
Right?
So it starts as a bachelor's program. I have studying for a major in philosophy and Catholic studies, double major, and then you'll go on to the major seminary for a it's divinity. I think it's like a degree in divinity.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me.
It'll just be on the internet forever.
Okay, yeah. Well, as long as it's there forever, that's fine. Yeah. So primarily now is you start by studying philosophy, and then you go on to theology afterwards.
Okay. So why do priests have to study philosophy? I think most people be kind of lost on them.
Right. Well, philosophy is the handmaid of theology, right? Or maybe it's the other way around. But philosophy basically is the foundation before you go to theology. You have to study philosophy to not only just know yourself and know sort of how things work. I think it's like I love my philosophy classes. I think it's fantastic. And it sets you up with a really good base for moving on to theology, to really understand a lot of what's going on, really a lot more of the depth of some of these theology classes. Even I think famously people, pick up the Summa and they say, "Oh, this is for beginners." Right. But what he meant by that is people, after you've already had 4 years of philosophy, then you can read the Summa. It's for beginners in theology.
The Summa, it has a lot of philosophical jargon that's just taken for granted, right? So theology uses philosophy to help express the concepts and the mysteries. It's the vehicle for communicating the divine truths that we're trying to articulate and trying to understand. Even like one of the examples I love to give to when I teach philosophy or sacraments class here is transubstantiation. All right, the matter stays the same, but the form is changed. Those are very like Aristotelian terminology, matter and form, being used to explain what's happening at the sacrifice of the Mass of the Eucharist, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how that philosophy is being made to serving theology, right? It's given the vocabulary to make the necessary distinctions, and explain the truths. So do you have a favorite class?
Right now, I'm maybe epistemology or philosophy
Okay.
of knowledge. Last semester, I think my favorite overall class so far has been metaphysics, which was challenging, but I thought it was really fruitful.
Hmm.
Just being able to think about really, really big questions like the underlying structures of reality and just sort of figuring out how it all sort of clicks and works together. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really interesting.
Okay. Nice. Do you have a least favorite class? You don't have to say what it is.
Right,
I'm just
right.
trying to humanize you.
Yeah,
So
well,
do you have a least favorite one?
Yeah, that I'm taking now or in general.
In general,
If I'm taking that medieval philosophies.
I was going rough. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was
All right.
maybe in general. I don't know. I didn't enjoy math. Since we're getting our bachelor's degrees at Providence College, we still have to take their requirements, their core requirements. So I had to take math. I was not a fan. Never been a math guy.
Yeah. But you still dutifully studied for all the students listening.
Yes,
Even though you
yes,
had a least
course.
favorite, you still learned to work through these things.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, okay. Here's a question I just thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the Army. You have to do training, and the seminary is kind of like training.
Yeah.
What would you find was more demanding?
Probably the seminary. Okay. I think the seminary it's harder work, but at the same time, it's so much more rewarding, and there's so much more consolation in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything that you do is for Christ. It's for your future flock. It's to be a better minister. And so I think when you really live your life in that light, and you can do that in really any walk of life, but I think in a particular way when you're studying for the priesthood, knowing that any sort of hardship you endure is really just for your future people, for the people of God, then that's really rewarding.
Nice. Sounds like you have real clarity of vision on your vocation or like the why behind everything you're doing, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I think it's important.
Yeah.
We hear a lot of quotes from the program for priestly formation in the seminary. The faculty is fantastic. So they're really big on letting us know like exactly why we're doing the things we do.
Do you have any advice for high school students as they're going through their just like their general discernment of what God is calling them to in their life?
Yeah, I'd say pray now. I think that's really big. Is you have to start praying now for what's going to happen in the future. So start praying for your future spouse, your vocation, just what God wants you to do. Even if that information isn't clear to you, maybe just where to go to college, everything. Just to take all that to the Lord and trust in Him that everything is going to be all right. Especially too is trusting in Mary. I think, like I said in my vocation story, I think Our Lady of Chestova played a really important role. So trusting in Mary, trusting in Jesus, and making time for them, especially in silence and in the Mass.
Yeah, and you were telling our students to put down the phones.
Oh yeah,
as well as like to eliminate the distraction. And I think it's I think that kids get told that a lot, maybe not enough, and they should keep hearing it. But something I've noticed is I think it's not even just kids, but
it's everyone,
adults, even like adults and parents with their kids. Part of the problem, myself included. I know it's like a struggle.
I think it's everyone.
So it is. It's gonna be. Yeah, because we talk about how it's like impacting kids, but it's like impacting even the adults' attention span and like working with their kids. So
yeah, I mean that's why I'm big on having some type of like hobby where you can feel out and touch something, like reading, or I like to draw, but it's something that requires your attention for a long period of time. And even if you can't do that like a lot in the beginning, just sort of training your mind to do that, I think it's really good.
So fill the void, right? It's not just a matter of putting down the phone, but like have something that replaces it.
I mean, you want legitimate leisure. You don't want just staring at the wall for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, I used to be able to do that as a kid, right? Before the dawn on the phone. So
right. Sometimes I do it when I'm trying to study. It's just like, oh.
So sorry.
No problem.
Do you have any advice for for parents, because they'll be watching this. They got kids in high school, and I've met your dad a couple of times, but from what I can tell, is he's very supportive and very happy, ecstatic about your vocation and discernment. So, what role did like your parents play in in your discernment process, and what advice would you give to a parent to be supportive and just nurturing of their child's vocation in light of what you experienced growing up?
Well, I think just being there for them, being supportive of whatever they want to do, I think is really important, obviously. But I think just knowing that it may not be what you want. I know my mother wasn't happiest when I told her I broke up with my girlfriend so I could enter the seminary. She was not happy that she wasn't going to get any grandkids out of me. But nonetheless, she was still there for me. She was still happy to, happy with my choices, happy that I was doing something that was the best for me. And both of them, I think, really were there to make sacrifices, especially when I was still in high school, to sort of help me along the process, bring me to mass or letting me borrow the car so I can go to confession, things like that. So I think just being there for your kids, and especially willing to sort of just make a little bit of sacrifice for them, making more time for them to get to mass, get to adoration, just visits to the church.
Awesome. Well, any last parting advice, crazy story you want to share?
I don't know, crazy story.
Yeah.
Nothing that's going to go on.
Okay, all right. Yeah. There was a really great story you told in the chapel, but I know it can't make it onto the internet, right? Because it stays forever. So, okay. All right. Well, Charles, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate you taking the time. All right.